Well, Blade Gang, welcome back. And I must say, we have had no shortage of fantastic custom fixed blades around here lately, particularly of the small to medium variety. Well, we're going to call them small today because they're 4 inches or under in the blade length. And this particular one comes from a company that I'd heard about. And I have to thank Tomas at Tactical Tavern for bringing it to my attention. Now, recently I've gotten knives from Auxiliary Manufacturing, from RMJ, from, of course, Bastinelli, Dirk Pinkerton, and on and on. Now, this particular classification of knife is kind of a, first of all, it is made in the USA, San Diego, California. So nothing done overseas, everything 100% USA. In his machine shop, I'll call it a machine shop. So many knives are being made in smaller shops, CNC'd, not hand ground necessarily. So I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe these are CNC'd and hand finished later on. So many different knives. I'm going to give you the link at the end of this video to Compliance Edge. This one seems to have gotten lots of attention on YouTube with a video and some stills that I dropped there. I want to thank the head of the company, and I don't know his name, and I don't know if anywhere his name is given, but that may or may not be relevant here. This is a beautifully produced knife out of 3V, okay? Very, very tough steel. It is encased in a very nicely carbon fiber textured, not carbon fiber, but carbon fiber textured micarta. Kydex, how about that? Yeah, it's early, my excuse. Ongoing excuse. It's an unusual knife in many respects. Tactically speaking, it was really designed, and I want to show you this too, because get it back in there. There we go. It is a tight fit. Not too tight at all. In other words, watch. It's just the right amount of pressure in my book. This is a newer model with a bronze Cerakote. Almost forgot that name. Bronze Cerakote. Almost looks gold, but it's a little more towards the brown, so I would call it bronze, with a gray stone patterned, rock patterned G10 handles. Really unusual. There's another model. Well, first of all, this is the DCK, okay? I think stands for discrete carry knife, I'm guessing, without going back and looking. He makes this model and a model with a ring. I'm getting away from knives with rings, although I have a lot of nice ones that do have the rings. Purpose of the ring in many cases is to yank it up out of the sheath, to snap it out really quickly and have your finger in there for retention. I think he does the same thing here without the ring, because you've got this to hang on to yank it out. Now, granted, you do need to readjust your hand after that. But, you know, you play around, you experiment, you practice your draw with a knife the same way you practice your draw with a gun. He's got some really nice sharp edges on this. And check this out. It came through with mirror polished edges. Probably not quite as mirror as you're going to get in doing it by hand, but certainly somebody put this on a belt by hand and put this perfect bevel on there on both sides. Now, there's a single edge version of this for those of you that won't or can't carry double-edged knives. It's a 4-inch blade. And overall, I think we're a little over 8 inches. I'm going to measure it up in a moment so we're sure. A lot of people saw the video short that I put up on YouTube, and they looked at this and said, that's got to be really uncomfortable. And I believe Tomas said the same thing when he first saw the knife before putting it in hand. But these are blunt enough, actually, to where they're just enough. I mean, if you press like heck and push your thumb forward, you're going to feel it, but it's not going to cut you. But you darn well are going to hang on to it. And he put the same sort of jimping pattern, if you want to call it that, on the pommel. So it is perfectly set up for Pical. And that's the reason I got the double edge, is that I got the edge in here. Most of an edge, about 2/3 of an edge. It's great that he put the jimping here because I like to put my thumb on the back of the blade, on the spine of the blade. And once you grab it here, I got about a 4.5-inch fist. Once you grab it here, look at that, you are locked in. There's nothing extra left over. Basically, your hand fits into it like a sword, like a cutlass, you know. Index finger fits perfectly there, pinky there. And you've got this nice swell here, which ends up being just kind of a shelf, a flat that falls there. Then you got a beautiful curve for your finger. The ergos on this knife were well thought out, and it is not particularly a tall handle, meaning you don't have a lot of material in here. Well, I'm going to get to measuring it because we'll talk a little bit more about the ergos and some of the other aspects of it in just a moment. Again, this is the DCK double edge without the ring. The ring ones end with R, so it's DCK-R, I believe. This is just over 8 inches. We're going to call it 8 inches, okay? And the blade's actually longer than I thought. To the handle, it is 4.25 inches. The cutting edge, because it's not sharpened all the way back, and we've got that plunge grind there, I'm going to call it 3 3/4. So you can see it does a perfect job with the plunge grind, and we'll take a look at the double edge grind in just a moment. So it looks as though, depending upon how much you sharpen it, you could end up with an issue there, but you know, it's all in your talent, I think, as a knife sharpener. And of course, sharpening any knife with double edges is going to be challenging anyway. You got to make sure you got room to clamp if you're using a fixed system, or if you're doing it by hand, probably a little bit easier, provided you've got that sort of ability. All right, let's stop chattering and measure. Millimeters. Here's where we're going to call that, and I got to get it right down here, actually. 4.8. It sure is close to 5 millimeters. I think I got 5 millimeters the other day right here. 4.8. Just about a 5 millimeter blade stock. That is thick. And grabbing it at kind of an average here, 0.59 thickness in the handle for a fixed blade. Not bad at all. And what is this in inches? 0.18. Let's do that one more time to be sure we're accurate. Well, 0.19, almost a 2.0. So yes, it is a thick blade. And let's see what we got for a weight. We'll weigh it with and without the sheath. The sheath is like nothing. 4.8, we'll call that, rounding up. 4.8 without the sheath. And 5.7 with the sheath. So less than an ounce for the sheath. And again, it is just perfect here for thumbing it off. I would carry this in the pocket, okay? I would carry it in the front pocket. You got to push. You know, you're trying to get that knife in there and you think maybe it isn't aligned, but really what it is the retention here is so good. And with every knife design, it's a challenge as to where to secure it in the sheath. But look, every knife maker should do this. You've got to put that lip at the top of the Kydex, because if someone carries it in the front pocket, they want to get it out that way if there's no DCC clip. By the way, at your checkout, you do have the option of many different carry methods. You can get a tech lock, you can get an ulti-clip, you can get a DCC. I've got all that stuff, so I didn't get anything with it. I have yet to decide how I want to carry it. Could be in the waistband or even in the pocket, as I said. If it's in the waistband, you can also thumb it off so easily, just like that. So let's look at those grinds we were talking about earlier. They are perfection. This is difficult to pull off, is to get that grind line going right down the center. And depending upon your lighting direction, it's actually hard to represent that in a video. There you go. Yeah, it goes right down the middle. And he carries really good thickness out to the edge. The danger with a double edge, either dagger or a knife like this, is that you lose thickness at the point. But when you're starting out at 4.8, almost 5 millimeters, you give the tip a much better chance of having some thickness to it. Let's see if I can do it this way. There we go. It's got, I mean, let's not mess around here. It's not a thick, jab it into wood and move it around sideways sort of a tip. It's fine for a reason. It's got to pierce as part of its job. It's a tactical knife. Is it also an EDC knife? Sure, sure. You've got a good usable edge there. Well, let's see what we can do with that edge and point. All right, here we go. Keep in mind, a grind like that is not meant to be slicing, but boy, is it piercing. It is nothing to get through that. Very tough paper. Wow. That's what those mirrored edges are doing. Let's see what the back edge will do. I'll poke myself in the finger. Yep. So that back edge is business too. It means business. Really, really nice. How about some compares? There's the DCK with its 4¼ inch blade. Here is the RMJ Unme, another really popular knife. And look at that, they're like dead on for size. More of a upswept Japanese style blade here, hence the name. Here is a knife I fell in love with recently as well. Here is the Auxiliary Manufacturing Carl. That is Michael Jarvis. And that's just ever so slightly bigger. Let's take the Unme out. I'm going to do a video pretty soon comparing all the knives I have in this size that are meant for this purpose, which is tactical EDC. About a ½ inch longer overall, but the blade's actually a little shorter. So we've got more handle here, as you can easily see. I like having a little extra handle. You see, it's only really about that much. There is a theory that the knife can be taken away from you if there's too much pommel. That's sort of the Filipino martial arts thing, but they're talking about a knife with a much larger pommel or more extensive pommel than these. Here is the Foreigner by Bastinelli, a very favorite front pocket carry knife. The only problem being what Mr. Bastinelli should have designed is a sheath, and these are made in Italy by Lion Steel, I believe. This is M390. Well, with this one, actually, it's good. So I should not have mentioned that. There are others, such as the Chopper, where you don't have this material here. And before anybody complains that there's too much width out here, I like having that so I can push it off. All right, so we have a success there with the sheath. And this is shorter by close to an inch, and a blade an inch shorter. So a little lighter carry here, and very flat, as you can see. So we've got a more robust handle on the DCK. Not by a whole lot. And it's patterned, you know, got some grip there. Micarta here. So as I said, M390 on this one, Magna Cut on the Unme, and Magna Cut on the Carl. These are typically made in AEBL by Mike Jarvis. When I say Mike, and I'm talking knives, you got to say Janich, right? Kind of a silly quick compare, but maybe an apt one. Griptilian, just for those of you that know the size of the Griptilian. It's about the same size opened. The advantage being Griptilian is this size closed. So that's why we like folding knives. But, you know, you don't need to do a wrap test with this one and see if it's going to fold on your fingers, do you? So for those of you that are concerned about folding knives folding on you, get a fixed blade. Simple solution. And these are easy to carry. They really, really are. Waistband or pocket, doesn't matter. A couple of nice torque screws there. Don't have the set handy, but they're going to be up there at least a T20 or so, I would say. Maybe more, T20, T25. You also notice that the spine stands proud of the handles on these. A lot of people like that sort of shadow boxing. But one of the real reasons is you can make the handle separate from the knife and add it on and not worry about where it meets. You just leave a certain relief and they're interchangeable. So probably you could in the future get whatever handle you want from him. Now this is a recent run. These also are available all black. They are available and what else has he got? Different handle colors. Some of them are wild. He does like a tropical thing with the sheath having like flowers and plants and stuff like that on it, Hawaiian theme. And I think he makes a gray blade, I'm not sure. But if you check out his site, and at this moment, he's sort of sold out. He does a Friday drop at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That would be 5 p.m. Pacific time. And you got to jump in on that very quickly in order to get these. He's taken a few weeks off for another project. So this is going to drop 27th of September, 2023. So over the next week or so, if you try to buy knives from him, you may only find a few available. There are other models that are really, really excellent. And I'm not going to name them all. I'll let you take a look when I give you the name of the, when I give you the link to the site. I'm waiting to hear your comments, and don't forget to give this video a like. I'll be back soon. Got more stuff coming in.